Matthew Rosenberg writing in today's New York Times, U.S. suddenly goes quiet on effort to bolster Afghan forces. Now, just think about this for a minute. Afghanistan, when George W. Bush decided to turn down the Taliban's offer to arrest bin Laden, this was in the weeks after 9/11. George W. Bush came out, or the U.S. government came out and said this was Al-Qaeda, this was Osama bin Laden, and he's in Afghanistan. And the government of Afghanistan said to the world, but to George W. Bush specifically, you can read this in the Washington Post. They said to George W. Bush, cool, provide us with any shred of evidence that he was actually involved, which we could have easily done. And we will arrest him and turn him over to a third country for prosecution. We're not going to send him to the U.S. You guys are not our best buddies. But we will send him to a third country that we can both agree on. We will arrest him right now. And George W. Bush said, no thanks, I'm going to bomb the crap out of you instead. Which is what he did. Now, at the time that George W. Bush started the bombing of Afghanistan, the GDP of Afghanistan, the gross domestic product, the total sum of all economic activity in the country, including growing and smuggling opium, was $2 billion a year. $20 billion a decade. Over a 10-year period, the country earned, spent, borrowed, bought, everything, all economic activity combined in Afghanistan. This was one of the poorest countries in the world. $2 billion a year. Now, with that number in mind, listen to the opening paragraph of today's New York Times article. And I'm assuming that they're talking about, well, I don't know if this is aggregate spending, which would be over, what, about a 14-year period? Again, the GDP, or 15-year period, let's say, the GDP of Afghanistan, if extended out for 15 years, or for 14 years, would be $28 billion. Right, so the entire country, $28 billion. Okay, here's the first paragraph of the article. The United States has spent about $65 billion to build Afghanistan's army and police forces. And until this month, the American-led coalition regularly shared details on how the money was being put to use and on the Afghan forces' progress. But as of this month, ask a question as seemingly straightforward as the number of Afghan soldiers and police officers in uniform, and the military coalition offers a singularly unrevealing answer. That information is now classified. So we're spending multiples of Afghanistan's entire GDP just for their police and military. This is not to build schools. This is not to build roads. This is not to put back into place and put back together the water treatment systems and sewage treatment systems that we blew up. It's just for their military. And it's working so badly that our government has decided that they have to hide the numbers from us. You can thank George W. Bush for this, and Dick Cheney, and Don Rumsfeld, and Condoleezza Rice. These war criminals who invaded a country that was willing to arrest the criminal in their midst. And George W. Bush said, no, don't want it. It's truly astonishing. It is truly astonishing.